So let's talk about WWE NXT. Now, I haven't been here for a while, but I just want to talk about wrestling. So first, let's start with the men's division. We're gonna start with the main event scene. So now the NXT champion is Trick Williams, and his most recent defense was against Eddie Thorpe. Now I'm gonna get into the storyline. Now, what's going on with Eddie Thorpe is that he was supposed to be in the Iron Survivor match in Deadline, but he faked being attacked because he knew that would get him a title shot faster than earning it in a match. And he was 100% correct, by the way. He got his title shot. And I loved how he signed the contract. And it was after he signed the contract that he told Ava, I was never attacked. I just knew this would get me there faster. Now he's like a slime ball. It was a great way to turn him heel. Anyway, so Trick went against Eddie Thorpe because Eddie had a lot to say, right? And it was very interesting, too, because Eddie had a lot to say once Oba Femi got out of the ring. We'll talk about Oba in a minute. But anyway, Eddie Thorpe had a lot to say. And in their match, it was a really good match. It had a very controversial finish. It had a double pin because you had two referees because one got knocked out. And it was Trick was covering Thorpe on one referee's angle. And then in the other angle, Thorpe was covering Trick. And so it was a double pin. And so it was like a tie. And so we kind of don't know who's the champion right now. I still think it's Trick, because if it ends in a tie, then you got to give it back to the champion. But it's going to be interesting because Eddie Thorpe is still going to be in a main event scene. He's still going to be there even after having his match. And so I hope they don't add him in the triple threat. I hope they don't make that match with Oba a triple threat. I really would like to see Oba Femi versus Trick alone. But anyway, maybe we're going to put him in there so that Oba can pin Thorpe and make Trick look strong. I don't know. But it ended in controversy, their match. Now let's talk about Oba Femi. Now, like I said, Thorpe had faked his attack, right, to get in the match, which meant that his spot in the Iron Survivor match was open. And who took that spot? Oba Femi. And what did Oba Femi do? He destroyed everybody in sight. Let me tell you, Nathan Frazier, he was throwing that man around in that match like he was a doll. Eventually, Oba won the match, right? And there's no diss to any of the participants. It was Javon Evans, Ethan Page, Wesley, and I'm forgetting the fourth guy. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the fourth guy. That's my bad. But at the end, if you want to put it in the comments, that's fine. But in the end, Oba won. And he's the number one contender. And he had a lot to say. Let me tell you, he had a lot to say to Trick Williams. He told Trick, I allowed the whoop the Trick era. He said, I allowed you to be a champion. And now I'm going to take your championship from you. That's literally what he told him to his face. I'm excited for this match. I love Oba Femi. I think he's a future world champion. In my opinion, he is a star. He not only is he a big guy, but he has a presence and he can wrestle too. Get out of here. He's a star. And mind you, he came in and he became the North American champion, I think after 2 matches, because he cashed in the I forgot what that contract is called that he won. But so he's had a really good run. So I don't know. He might actually beat Trick, or they might just keep the title on Trick. It's too early to tell. Right? We still have a few weeks before we actually get the match. But I think that it's been great. I think the NXT title has been good in Trick's hands. And whoever he drops it to, whenever he drops it to, is going to be well taken care of. There's a lot of competitors. Before he faced Eddie Thorpe, he'd faced Rich Holland, who was a beast too. He's huge. So it's not the first time that Trick is going to be facing somebody who is a monster. It's just, will he beat him? Right now, it's Oba Femi versus Trick Williams. But Eddie Thorpe is hanging around there. Moving it along. Now, let's talk about the North American champion. Now, the North American champion is the Don. He has his family. And recently, it's really interesting what he did recently because Ethan Page was in that match, in the Iron Survivor match. And he's kind of depressed now. You know, it left him really bummed out. It really reminded me of Baron storyline when he was a bum. They used to call him bum ass Corbin. This reminded me of that. This Ethan Page and his depression. He was like, 18 years it took me to get here. What am I going to do? All these sacrifices. You know, he's talking about he lost his smile. This is what made him lose his smile even more, okay? Because the Dawn actually gave Ethan Page an opportunity to take the title from him to have a North American title shot. Ethan was so depressed, he declined at first, but then he was like, no, I got it. And what was really interesting was on commentary, because Booker T was like, why would he just give him this match? He's like, no, he's messing with him. He gave him this match to mess with him, right? And so, whatever. The Dawn ends up beating Ethan Page. I'll get back to Ethan Page because I was really talking about the Dawn. I just wanted to let you know Ethan's storyline, right? Because it had to do why the Dawn gave him the title match. Now, I have been enjoying the Dawn since he held the Heritage Cup. I feel like he has consistently have had good matches. Sorry. He always does. He's consistent. Now, has he always had the best storylines? I feel like, yes, he has had good storylines, but I feel like some of his matches don't have a storyline at all. Shawn Spears is still hanging around somewhere, and I'm sure we will run back to him. But he's really just been giving, he's really just been a fighting champion. He's just been giving out, I guess, title shots. Or, you know, whoever's the number one contender, he faces them and he beats them. And so, no issue with this. Enjoying it. Can't wait to see who his next challenger is. Not a problem, right? Now, since I already talked about Ethan Page, let's continue about Ethan Page. So after he lost his match to the Dawn, the week after that, he came on TV and said he lost his smile. He said, maybe to you guys, I'm a jerk, but I love what I do, and I just can't, I don't know what I'm going to do anymore. He's like, my family, my wife, you know, all this stuff. And Javon Evans randomly comes out trying to be a good person. And he's like, yo, just, you know, you haven't lost your smile. You got to get up again. This isn't it for you. This is, you know, and then he starts like trying to motivate him by saying, you know, I saw you when you were smiling. You didn't lose your smile. You were smiling at your daughter. You were smiling at your wife. You know, he's like, you just have to change a little bit, but you're still there. It's your smile is still there, basically. What does Ethan Page decide to do? He says, you're right. I guess Javon Evans reminded him of who he is because he slapped the shit out of Javon. No, he punched him. Mind my cursing. He punched him. And once he punched Javon, I'm like, he's always going to be a full heel. He is always going to be all ego, Ethan Page. And you know what? I'm kind of happy because Ethan Page and Javon Evans have Ethan was a champion. He did win the NXT title. So they have been in the title picture. And now they're going to be feuding against each other. And that's fine. That's fine. I give them something to do. Give them something to do. Right? And so that's just a side note. That was just a side note. Now, let's talk about that tag team division. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave it here because I have a lot to say about the tag team division. So I'm going to cut it here. This is going to be part 1. I will do a part 2.